and Rob Moore and Keith Jackson are buddies with the same agent, Gary Wishard, maybe engineered to both go to Arizona.
Yeah, I think, you know, Chris Martin is a guy available possibly as a running back. I'm not sure whether it fits his need, but also defensive back. You got a lot of guys there. You got Bobby Taylor, Craig Newsome, I think are two possibilities definitely for the Packers. I mean, when you take a look at their secondary, McGill, Butler, Teague, Evans, Keyshawn Johnson, Mike Pryor.
Safeties are good. The corners are trouble.
Yeah, that's where I think maybe, you know, you maybe get a guy like Bobby Taylor. You got a big guy, can play the corner well. Don't have to ask him to do a lot of run support. Let him go play. It's certainly going to be an improvement over Terrell Buckley on the corner, if for no other reason because of size matchups that he ran into a problem with last year.
Mel, let's look at your board at corners or safeties and corners, and let's see who's left. Again, they're all of a sudden, this is a bad spot to pick a guy.
Not bad at all. Some people would have Taylor strictly as a free safety. I put him on here as a corner. Jimmy Hitchcock, question about the knee, and in fact, of course, he finished his career at North Carolina with no interceptions. The guy I think is very underrated is Craig Newsome, and he's the big corner, had the great Senior Bowl, had a nice career at Arizona State, a very instinctive football player. Cedric Davis is a good sleeper type, third-round pick. Carl Greenwood's back from the injury. He could fall in the second or third. Torrey Hunter, the best hands of any defensive back in the draft. Strong makes plays, but he's short. And Ronald Davis is a kid that has skyrocketed up into the early second round. Great athlete out of Tennessee, former running back.
Well, as we, you know, it's the first time you're going to see us on camera looking at the Bible, Mel's book. Here it is. And we turn to Deuteronomy here. Or is it Ecclesiastics? What about Corey Fuller? I'm not just looking at, I mean, throwing a dart.
Well, I think
where do you have him? Farther down the list?
I like Craig Newsome a lot.
Yeah, Newsome or Fuller?
Newsome, you know, Hitchcock is a hitter. He's a great athlete.
Newsome or Fuller? That's who I'm going with.
You got Newsome? Well, you must know something.
No, I don't know anything. I'm like Sergeant Schultz, Mel. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I see nothing. We'll be back with the Packers pick. It's 5.5 minutes to go in the first round. It's getting to be that time in the draft when we see what's in the closet and put it out on the air. We'll be back.
Look, a MasterCard won't make you different or unique, okay? Actually, maybe it will. I mean, millions of people use MasterCard, but yours is meant for you and you alone. So if someone steals it, instead of worrying about people running around pretending to be you, call right away and cancel it, because after all, there's only one you. What's more, even if somebody does manage to charge stuff to you, you won't pay a cent, and we may even be able to get you a new card the next day. But just for you. Now, how's that for a useful card? MasterCard, it's more than a credit card, it's smart money.
Yes, it is. The time is 5:01. The beer is Miller High Life, and the reason is clear. When the time is your own, it must be Miller time. Miller time, Miller beer. Yes, it is.
Hey, Chris, can we ask you a few questions about the Dallas game?
Yeah, sure. Where do you want me?
Wherever you're comfortable.
All right, I got 2 minutes.
Well, we are back here in New York. Boy, that over-under is approaching here. Well, I'm going to make it, though, because the Packers have, unless it's a trade, the Packers have 3.5 minutes to go with the final pick in the first round, the first time the Green Bay Packers will make a selection. Now, they could go down a little bit and get a running back that they might want if someone wants to come up and sees a player that they like. After this, then we go, well, it was originally going to be Jacksonville, Carolina forever, but you got Green Bay, Jacksonville, and then San Diego, the AFC champs. They'll be on the clock for the first time. Now that we're getting into this part of the round, Mel, surprised now the way the slotting's going? I mean, we had, you know, Giselle Jenkins was a bit of a shocker, but it's kind of working out the way you thought?
Well, you're going to get the positions, you know, corrected a lot of times, Chris, at this stage of the first round. What you're not going to do is always hit the reaches and the stretches and the guys who fall because of some workouts or what have you. But I think what you're seeing is The juniors have a huge impact once again, as they do every year. In fact, when we looked at that junior board before, we saw Ohio State really get hit hard. John Cooper is taking a beating with juniors.
Yes.
And we also see the Michigan Wolverines getting hit hard with Jenkins leaving early, who could have been a great player in the Big Ten had he gone back. But Ohio State in particular, losing Stringer, Craig Powell, Lorenzo Stiles. John Cooper, if he can put Ohio State in contention for that Big Ten title, has done a great coaching job next season.
4 straight years, at least 10 underclassmen have been drafted in the first round. With 1 pick to go, here's how it trots out in the first round. Well, no, this isn't it. Well, we got to discuss this, because linebackers, we have Mamula and Hugh Douglas as defensive linemen, so we're going to discuss this a little bit later on. All right,
Get rid of it.
we'll come back in a minute. We'll get this all straightened. It's been a long day for everybody. But we're just underway here. Green Bay's pick is up at the podium.
Who do you think?
I think it's a DB. I think it's either...
Well, we know that, but I mean, which one?
I think it's a Newsome or Fuller.
Okay.
I mean, you know, there's value at offensive line, too. But I think that defensive backup, a guy who can cover at corner, Newsome is one. That might be a good selection for the Packers.
Got to be big, though, right? Has to be
He
big.
will not be
small.
short. That's right. He will not be short.
With the final pick in the first round, the Green Bay Packers select defensive back from Arizona State, Craig Newsome.
Well, I do know something.
That's a good one. I like that one better than Fuller, Chris.
Well, I just wanted to cover myself and give the book a plug, which, by the way, will be 50% off tomorrow for the second round, second day of the draft. Mel, what about Newsome? He's a good cover man.
Great feet. That's the one thing about Craig Newsome. He's tall, and you usually don't see that ability, that smooth turning motion, the hip flexibility that you do with Craig Newsome. In his Senior Bowl, watch him break on Antonio Freeman here, break up the football, came through with a couple key interceptions in that football game. Big hitter, can support the run. Here's the INT. Watch the hands on this low pass near the sidelines. I tell you, and there's Xavier Urelian, the Giants secondary coach, ecstatic about the game that Newsome had. Caused a couple fumbles, had a couple interceptions in the Senior Bowl. The only reason he's not an early to mid-first rounder is because he ran the 4.7 at the Combine. Then he came back during individual workouts and was running 4.5, 4.52. But that wasn't enough necessarily to push him way up into the first round. Great pick, I think, for the Green Bay Packers.
I think one very good point in regards to him also is he was forced in that defensive philosophy they played. He was forced to be out on an island a lot by himself. So he has the mentality to handle being out there by himself, one-on-one coverage. So he's got the toughness mentally to be able to do it, as well as the athletic skills to go with it.
Well, the first round is now completed. 32 picks at about 5:45. We had, 13 up and down movements. It was a right from the top to the bottom, and some surprise choices, especially by the Jets, and the Niners making a brilliant move. Let's go down to Chris Mortensen and get the feel for Newsome and the Packers. I think it's a good fit and a move they could come down and still get that player down there once the running back Salam was unavailable to them.
That's right, Chris. And really, remember, Terrell Buckley is gone. He's now with the Miami Dolphins. They had to address the secondary, as we've mentioned. This is the second time in 3 drafts the Packers have closed out the first round. Remember, they got George Teague a couple of years ago. And the one thing you heard about Teague and that you hear about Newsome, instinctive ball players. And those are the type of players that Fritz Sherman, the defensive coordinator, likes, as well as Ron Wolf with the general manager of the Packers. So I think it's a good move here for the Packers. Now let's go to Chris Fowler in Buffalo.
Well, Mort, Craig Newsome, a really interesting story. Out of high school, he worked as a construction worker for 2.5 years, really had to be talked into coming back into football by some coaches at San Bernardino Valley College. While he went back to school, his wife, Deborah, had to go to work to support the family. They have a kid. It works out at San Bernardino, goes to Arizona State. Then his senior year, really suspended, misses 3 games, gets injured. So he is a story in perseverance, from construction worker to first-round pick, much like Hugh Douglas, who worked for a time at a Holiday Inn setting up banquet tables. So for 2 guys to go from manual labor jobs to first-round NFL picks, exciting. Boomer?
All right, Chris, thank you. The first round is history. We're going to take a look at the entire first round in the 95 draft. We'll be back with the first pick in round number 2 here in New York.
Introducing Taco Bell Border Lights. They're about taste. They're about flavor. They're about 6 grams of fat.
What?
Skeptical? You won't be, because this Sunday only, when you make any purchase, you can get a light taco or light bean burrito free. That white corn shell will cost you nada. Real light cheddar cheese, we're giving it away. Seasoned lean beef, coming at you. Sunday, make any purchase, get a light taco or light bean burrito free. Your skepticism just might bite the dust.
Our German engineers could have road tested the new Porsche 911 Carrera 4 back home in Germany. They could have taken the 270 horsepower engine out on the Autobahn again, or driven the Black Forest with the all-wheel drive and radical suspension. They could have done all that back home. But then, they wouldn't have gotten all this neat stuff.
The boy who was always out of breath. The restless one who was always the last one into class and the first one out. The boy who was always staring into space is now flying through it.
All right, welcome back to the draft here in New York as we get set to start the second round. The San Francisco 49ers, defending Super Bowl champs, have made a major splash earlier in the day, moving up 20 slots to the 10 position to pick J.J. Stokes, wide receiver of UCLA. Do the 49ers have more up their sleeve? Let's head out west to Leslie Visser at 4949 Centennial Boulevard. Leslie.
Chris, you're right. They do have more in mind. The 49ers spent the past hour trying to trade perennial Pro Bowler John Taylor to either Kansas City, Jacksonville, or Green Bay, but no one was interested in Taylor's $1.5 million contract. They are going to still try to make the move in the second round. Now, what does this mean for receiver J.J. Stokes? Well, in 1985, the 49ers had Dwight Clark and Freddie Solomon as their receivers. They traded up to get Jerry Rice, and he started his first game as a 49er. And George Seifert, who compares J.J. Stokes to Michael Irvin, says he thinks he'll be ready. Chris?
All right, Leslie, that would... now, the Niners, they see a talent that can go get him. They project him right in. They've certainly had some influx with rookie players along the defensive line, and certainly Lee Woodall way down the charts. Last year started as a rookie at linebacker. So they're not afraid to start youngsters. Remember, once upon a time in 81, they started 3 defensive backs for rookies, Ronnie Lott and Eric Wright and Carlton Williamson. Let's head down to Jacksonville and check in with Andrea Kramer. Andrea?
Well, Chris, maybe we should just start dubbing Tom Coughlin Trader Tom, because it looks like he's making a move with the 33rd pick. Now, earlier, they had some discussions with Pittsburgh and Dallas about possibly moving up. Nothing really came of that. However, it now appears that Coughlin is trading the first pick in the second round, the 33rd pick, to the New York Jets for the 40th and the 71st pick. So it looks like Coughlin's going to be moving down. Perhaps a lot of the guys that we had talked about that he wanted perhaps just weren't on the board at that time. So it looks like Coughlin's making a move. This time, he's moving down. Let's head back to you in New York.
Okay, Andrea, you usurped the power from the commissioner, or now that we're in the second round, it might be Gene Washington up there. There's a lot of suspense at who's going to handle the second round. Don Weiss used to be the voice of the second round, but it's now Gene Washington.
We have a trade on the first pick in the second round. Jacksonville has traded its pick number 33 to the New York Jets. Jacksonville receives from the Jets the Jets' second-round pick, which is number 40. They also receive the Jets' third-round pick this year, which is number 71.
The laughter you hear is one fan of the Jets just yelled.